Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Monday morning trading room. I trust everybody is able to hear me, and I'm hoping the audio is not too loud or too soft, or that the microphone is too close to my mouth so you can't hear me breathing all day. All right. So our Friday room was interrupted with technical difficulties. So I'll give you guys the option here this morning. Do we want to continue this morning with Friday's Rabbit Hole Friday? Or do we just want to get back into trading and save the Rabbit Hole Friday for this Friday? Oh no, I guess it won't be this Friday. This Friday is Good Friday. The markets are closed. This Rabbit Hole Day, we'll bump it up a day. All right, while you guys are mulling that over, let's get here. I see there's a couple new people in the room, so let me give you a really quick overview of what you're looking at. But before I do that, I've already got the daily chart here over for the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ, the market, I tend to like to focus on, but, you know, don't be shy. If you'd like to see another market, then I will do my best to pull it up. What we've been noticing here on the daily chart with the NASDAQ is how tiny the ranges have been. Now, tiny ranges, not necessarily a new thing. You see, we go through these spurts here where the ranges are relatively small, but tiny ranges tend to prelude a bigger move, especially if volume starts to get up. Now, volume seems to be holding relatively steady. The other day I said volume looked like it was spiking a little bit. We did have the odd bar here, the odd volume bar, where we had inflated volume on relatively small ranges. Volume and price tend to move together. So, you know, if you see a big bar, you anticipate big volume. Small bars, small volume. When you start seeing the opposite happen, when you start seeing big bars with little volume or small bars with big volume, that tells you something's not right. Something's going to happen. Okay, we've got the votes are in. It looks like most people are in for trading today, so we'll stay with that. Mark, yes, I know you. Mark's been out for a little while. I was wondering where you were. Mark says, I've been out the last 3 weeks with influenza A. It sucked. You might be able to hear it in my voice. I'm fighting off a cold as well. And I'm not entirely used to where the new mute button is on my headset. So if I apologize in advance if I sneeze or cough in your ear. All right, the way I have my charts laid out here, I've got the complete DTS system, that's the diversified trading system, along with the Raptor. So here in the top left, I have the Hawk Micro Scalper. This is part of the diversified trading system. Here in the top right, I have the Falcon Swing Trader. And in the bottom left here, I have the Eagle Trend Trader. And we'll be looking at these as the day goes on. Bottom right, I have the Raptor. Now, the Raptor is a little bit of a hybrid of the other three birds. It incorporates elements of the Hawk, the Falcon, and the Eagle all into one trading system. On each of the birds, I've also included the Bollinger Band Suite, which is an add-on indicator. You can put this on any chart. It does not come with the DTS or the Raptor system. This is an add-on, but I featured it in our Rabbit Hole Friday a few weeks back, and I liked it so much, I left it on my chart. The Raptor has high probability signal prompts, so it will alert you to when the high probability signals are developing, helping you to focus on what are hopefully the best signals. Regardless of the tool, all the signals develop the same way. When the signal parameters are first being met, you will get a warning dot along with an audio alert. When all the signal parameters are met, you will get a triangle and a hash mark. This tells you all the programming requirements have been met, and it's time now to make a decision whether you're going to trade or not. It's also important to notice that there is more going on with each of these systems than just what you see on the chart. There's actually about a half a dozen programming algorithms that have to be met before a signal will produce. Not all of them on display. All right, let's take a look here where we're at with the Eagle. Pre-market, relatively quiet. For those of you who like your first in-sync Eagle signal, looks like we got it right about here, or maybe it's this one. Anyways, your trading band is bullish. Right? So we have the soft edge. This is what we call the soft edge. Above the hard edge, this means we're going to be more bullish. And we produced our first signal to buy right around the opening buzzer. And it looks like we're kind of working that buy signal now. It is still early, however. Oh, ain't that the truth? Mark says, my wife had surgery back on March 20th, and we both got sick from the hospital. If you want to stay well, stay away from the hospital. Yes, I've had a similar experience. Yeah, stay away from doctors and hospitals as long as you can. Do yourselves a favor. Eat healthy and exercise. You do not want to end up in the doctor's office. All right, we're going to give them, or I'm going to give them a few minutes here to settle in. I tend not to be a fan of signals right out of the open. Well, I shouldn't say not right out of the open, but I do tend to try to let the market develop a little bit of a rhythm, maybe tip its hand a little bit. We'll see here the trade forecaster calling for scalp mode for about another 15 minutes. After that, we are moving into swing mode. So we might anticipate a little bit more follow through on some of these moves. While we're waiting, I am going to need to close down the trading room early for today and tomorrow. I've got some meetings in the city I need to get to. So we'll shut the room down in an hour today, at the bottom of the hour. All right, well, so far we're a little bit convoluted here. We've got a hawk that's neutral, a falcon that's actually working a little bit of a trend change. The eagle's still bullish, the raptor also bullish, and actually it looks like we're going to produce a hard edge bounce here. That's our number 3 signal. That's a continuation signal. Of course, with a continuation signal, you first have to have something to continue. Okay. While we're waiting here a little bit longer, Mark's got a couple of housekeeping questions. He says, I just got going on the Ninja 8. Okay, Mark's taking the plunge. And he's got a couple of housekeeping questions. How do I adjust the colors on the filter? I can barely see the filter on mine. I'm going to have a word with the programmers because they are not very imaginative when it comes to selecting colors. All right, what you need to do is you need to go to your indicator window. You need to find your Falcon filter, so you highlight that. And here you're going to adjust your colors. So you've got your red for your down, gold for your neutral, and green for your up. So if you want to make it a little bit brighter, this is where you can go to do that. The red probably isn't too bad. And then of course click apply. Ooh, isn't that pretty? See, look at those pretty colors. Actually, that yellow-green is, or green-yellow is probably a little too close to the yellow. Let's try. Oh, that's not bad. You can differentiate between the green and the yellow a little bit better, and the red. But that's where you would go to do that. Likewise, on the Falcon itself, I'm with you, Mark. I'm not really happy with the default colors. So what you'll do is you'll scroll down here for your buy and sell warning dots, entry alerts, and so on. And you can adjust the colors here. So instead of the red, which is the same as the bar color, I selected coral. Isn't that pretty? And then for the green, I selected lime green. Oh, actually, that reminds me. I think in the version 7, the green was actually lime. There we go. I think it was lime, gold, and red. Yeah, that looks a little better. That's a little more familiar. Now, to get rid of the background highlights, you go to your Falcon, pull down here to the very, oh no, sorry, it used to be at the very bottom. What we're looking for is there it is, background opacity. So about halfway down, you have visual signal, arrow location, arrow separation, background opacity. Set that value to 0. And it will make the background highlights disappear. Ooh, I'm liking that lime green. I think I'm going to save that while I have the chance. Remember, you make any changes to your charts, be sure to save them. Otherwise, you got to redo it. All right, we're getting a little bit of sideways constipation going on here right now. Not a whole lot of activity market-wise. Moderately bullish from Friday through today. If you include the overnight, that's kind of where we're at. Abdullah is asking, do I need to have all the systems to start trading? No. No, the way this worked was the DTS system, the three birds that you see here, the Hawk, Scalper, the Falcon Swing Trader, the Eagle Trend Trader, those were the originals. We developed those way back in 2012. But then we had owners saying, hey, Eric, I'm only working off of a laptop, and I don't want to invest in the other three monitors, or I'm finding it too difficult to monitor the three charts at once, even though there are audio and visual alerts to prompt you. So, long story short, we developed the Raptor system, which is kind of the flagship now, because the Raptor is a one-screen system. It incorporates the Hawk, the Falcon, and the Eagle, or elements thereof, into one system. We beefed up the Raptor a little bit with the signal prompts, which I'll explain here a little bit more in a moment. So the Raptor is ideal if you don't have the screen real estate, or you just want, to follow one chart. The DTS system is a little finer tuning, if you will. Now, I always hesitate to make these analogies because there's absolutely nothing wrong with the Raptor on its own. In fact, sometimes the Raptor will produce a signal on its own that you're not going to get here on the others. In fact, right here, this number 2 signal that's printing, the counter trend signal, did not print on the other three birds. So the Raptor does have some of its own unique signals also. But the analogy I often use is of a hybrid car. If the Hawk Scalper here is a Corvette, and the Trend Trader, Eagle Trend Trader here is a pickup truck, those are specialized tools. And your Raptor is a Prius Hybris, or pardon me, Prius hybrid. Can you move your luggage or furniture with a Prius? Yes, most certainly. Can you do it as efficiently as with a Ford pickup truck? No, probably not. Can you drive from San Francisco to Los Angeles in a Prius? Yes, of course you can. Can you do it as quickly as you can in a Corvette? No, probably not. So the DTS system provides you different tools for each of the different market environments. So we have a scalping tool, a swing trading tool, and a trending tool. So we're set up regardless of the market condition. And then the Raptor, like I said, is a bit of a blending of the different tools. Okay, what I was going to point out here is, regardless of the system you're using, context is very important. You always have to pay attention to context, because you're going to get these periods here where you're going to get signals firing, but you're not getting very much follow through. And so you're going to look at this and you're going to say, system's broken, it doesn't work. No, that's not it at all. You have to take the context into account. So if you look left in your chart, you can see there's no trend here today. We are very much in the sideways range. What happens in a sideways range? You're not going to get a lot of follow through on your signals. So part of successful trading is you have to think a little bit and consider what the market environment is like. And very often, the best thing you can do is just wait the market out until things kind of line up a little bit better. All right, hold on. Mark says, can we make the filter brighter? There is probably an opacity value here as well. Or not. Mark, do you have Ben's email? I'm going to suggest that you email him directly. I don't see an opacity value here. There must be a way to increase the brightness of it. If not, I'm sure he can do it for you. Yes, there should be a way for him to increase that. Okay, the Falcon here working a little bit of a trend change signal. We might be getting a little bit more bearish. What I'm anticipating is that maybe this is going to be a bit of a sideways range. We'll have to see yet whether we get a bit of a bounce. But we definitely have a bit of a bearish slant to the day right now. We are trading at some fairly lofty values here as well in the NASDAQ. 7660 was a fairly significant value. Oh, while I think of it, the other question I always get is, why don't you trade the E-mini? Why are you trading the NASDAQ? If you take the time to compare the two markets, you're going to find something very interesting. If you compare, and you can do this on any chart, not just a mean Renko chart, but even a time-based chart or ticks or whatever. If you take a look at the NASDAQ and you compare, say, this move here to the comparable move on the E-mini, you will find that point-wise, because the NASDAQ only trades at $5 a tick, you will have more points here in the NASDAQ, requiring the NASDAQ to make this bigger move, and fewer points in the E-mini to make such a big move. So people automatically think, well, the E-mini doesn't have to move as far, and it trades at $12.50 a tick. Therefore, I should be trading the E-mini because that's where I'll make all the money. No. If you compare these moves dollar for dollar, very often they are equal to the comparable move in the E-mini. So let's say this is a $600 move. I'm not going to take the time to measure it, but let's just say it's a $600 move from low to high. It will also be a $600 move on the E-mini. So why the NASDAQ if it's a $600 move? Because if the NASDAQ at $5 a tick versus the $12.50 a tick in the E-mini will very often allow me to trade multiple contracts. I'll still have the same dollar amount at risk, but because the NASDAQ is less expensive, I'll actually be able to take more contracts. So let's say I was able to take 2 contracts instead of 1 contract with the NASDAQ or with the E-mini. That same $600 move now in the NASDAQ actually earns $1,200. Whereas in the E-mini, I would only make 600. So there's distinct advantages to looking at the smaller tick instruments. You've got your NASDAQ and your mini Dow. Steve, you don't need to type. I know you're going to start reminding me of the micros. The micro NASDAQ and Dow and S&P coming out in about a month's time. We'll have to see how well received those are, but the micros may allow you to even take more contracts or control your risk exposure a little better, which will be ideal for those of you trading very small accounts. Yeah. Steve's really excited about the micros. We'll see. You know, liquidity is everything. So long as the liquidity is there. All right, so we're taking a little bit of a bounce now off of this bottom end, including the overnight little swing. We may have a bit of a trading range developing. Still a little early to tell. The Eagle band flipping over here now, making it technically more bearish. Oh, and here we go with a trend change signal on the Raptor, and we're going to get a trend change signal here on the Falcon. Okay, you know what? Let's take a look at possibly doing this one here. Okay, the market's not quite ready to go just yet, but I may think about throwing a short order here. I'm going to use this low to enter rather than the hash mark. The hash mark, the suggested entry, but you know what? For a couple of ticks, I may look to enter below here. I've got my trade calculator all set up, and I'm going to cap my risk here at 2.5% of my capital. The Bollinger's not in sync on this, which makes me a little leery, but I'm thinking if we take out the low, that should try to break the bottom end of the trading range. I hope. And if the low holds, then the market should be in a position to try to rally again if we are indeed inside a trading range. Oh, they made a little bit of a move lower. They're flinching. So the cloud crossover signal, one of our high probability signals. Oh, no follow through yet. In fact, look at the Bollinger Suite. The Bollinger's getting quite bullish still. Oh, there's my opportunity. Okay, so I'm going to look to possibly short here now below. I'll adjust the trade slightly. I'm going to pull my exit order out of the way. You need to remember these orders are live when you put them on your chart, so don't just leave them hanging around. Okay, here we go. Let's see if we can get a little bit of follow through on this. Oh, got to bring my exit order back. They're hesitating. Come on. You know you want to. retracing the same kind of numbers though, right? For the last 4 or 5 trading days, we just keep going over the same numbers time and again. No new territory here to excite buyers or sellers. I guess I better turn my chart trader on too. There we go. I'm thinking some of that early bullishness may be hanging on. See how we have here now the range. This is where the market rallied from before. They're hesitating a little bit on the breakout. And we are in scalp mode. Look at this. We're full on scalp mode for the better part of the next half hour. So we need to anticipate a market that's going to be wanting to seesaw back and forth. Come on, you can do it. If we can take out this little swing low here, if we can get this current bar to form, I think it will entice a few sellers. Lots of seesawing right now. They're thinking about it. If this bar forms bearish, I'm going to get much more aggressive with my stops as well. I'm trying to give this trade some room here, but the momentum is very, very weak, as you can tell. I'm spending a long time developing this bar. All right, are they almost there? Nope. You see, the longer it takes, the more likely it is to reverse. We didn't catch a whole lot of sellers on the way down, so here come the buyers. They're going to try their luck now. I'll adjust my stops a little bit. The challenge in a trade like this is to give the trade enough room to work out without risking too much. The ideal stop is actually up here, right? If we're going to give this trade a real chance, we're going to leave it 2 swings back. So this is swing 1, that's swing 2. That's a little bit out of reach though, so we're going to kind of keep it a little bit cozier. And now we're getting the counter trend signal. So again, the candy striping continues, suggesting that we are in full-on sideways chop, and as is confirmed by the trade forecaster there with the scalp mode being dominant. When in scalp mode, you need to be a little bit more generous with your stops as well. It's hard to get by in scalp mode if your stops are like 1 or 2 bars back. All right, here go the sellers. We got 1 bar. Give me 2 bars. I'll roll my stops. Things not looking all that promising here at the moment, I have to say. This is why it's so important to cap your risk. You're not going to be right all the time, but if you can contain your risk to an amount that you can afford to lose, that's how you keep from ruining yourself as a trader. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive with my stop now. I'll bring it in here above the primary support line on our support and resistance suite, which highlights our support and resistance lines. And at this point, it's do or die for the sellers. They've got to get it going on this leg or the market will turn. So what I'm going to do is any bar that has a little bit of a wick to it, I will roll my stops above there. If we get down here about 3/4 of the way to the profit target, I will take my stops to break even. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to chicken out. I'm going to do it right now. There we go. Stops at break even. Go ahead, market. Get down there. You can do it. This is a bit of a chance. My stop's very cozy.
Order filled.
Yeah, nuts. All right.
Order canceled.
We'll close that out. I think the market is still going to head lower here. I was a little bit too aggressive with my stops. But given the market momentum, I just figured it was probably best to take my stops in. But don't be surprised to see the market continue lower here from here. What bothers me a little bit is the little bit of bullishness that we have here from Friday's session through the overnight. Yeah, see, and there they go. It would have, I got tagged here. If this bar finishes lower, I should have rolled my stops at that point. Well, we're still struggling. Not much going on here this morning. Are we, let's check the reports calendar. Are we waiting on something here? Or is it just one of those days? No, nothing going on today. Nothing really important tomorrow either. All right. It's just how it is. They're a little bit stuck. Well, if they don't want to go down, there is a good chance they may want to go higher. So we'll see if we get a little bit of a test of the extreme here, a retest of the current low, and a reverse. I'm not sure the last time I've seen the NASDAQ this slow, though. My goodness, it's dead. Oh, there they go. Yeah, see, I bailed a little bit too early. Darn it. So I was short here from below here. Got tagged on the reverse, and now they would have gone down and hit my profit target. Scoundrels. All right, got a little bit too quick on my stops there. Well, there's a couple of ways to look at this. You can look at this as the breakout and the retest and the next move lower. There are going to be traders looking at this as the initial breakout and possibly waiting for a retest. So that tells me that we may have a little bit of a bull move coming, maybe. Now that's technically counter trend, and you know how well those counter trend signals tend to work. Let's see here. Joe says he's thinking the NASDAQ may go back to Friday's midline here on the support and resistance suite. That would put us down here somewhere. Okay, I can see that. That's doable. Okay, we are getting a little bit more bullish here, just on the bar, not on the whole trend thing. The whole trend thing, we are bearish. Ooh, big kick lower. All right, well, a very decent little move here. Notice how once we got below the primary support line, how we did end up moving two zones. That's zone 1, this now zone 2. Kind of trading here in slow motion. Well, is it going to hold? We'll see if we get a number 2 signal. The Raptor is going to be probably one of the first to give us a counter trend signal or a buy signal. We may get a red bar, pardon me, a green bar sell in the hawk that we could look to buy above. We're running out of time here. Do we have a counter trend signal in the Falcon yet? Nope, not yet. Thought maybe we were going to get an early trend change signal here on the Falcon, a double dot buy, but nope, not yet. Wow. Do I dare? I'm hesitant because of all the support down here. Actually, it's easier to see on the Eagle. I'm hesitant about the support, but the trend is down. We could be heading here toward these lows, maybe even, as Joe pointed out, toward Friday's midpoint line. This just a regular follow-up signal, not a technically one of the high probability signals. Could do a second push on it, I suppose. Or I wait for the pullback. I'm a little bummed out that I got bumped on my earlier trade. That would have been a very nice little trade. All right, you know what? We're going to leave that alone for now. I'm going to wait for the better looking signal, I think. We do have a little bit of divergence going on here between the Bollinger Suite and price. Oh, no, sorry, that's not divergence. Divergence is when it goes the opposite way. Okay, forget that. Yes, Mark, absolutely. The mean wrinkles are part of the system. He says, I can't find them in my customer hub. I have an email to Ben on that as well. Oh, and here we go. Trend trumping all. Way to go, Joe. Joe calling it early. Here we go. We're going to hit Friday's median line. And there we go. Just tagged it. We'll get those out of the way so they can go lower still. Well, the market definitely in a downtrend today. No question about that. So now that it's clearly in a downtrend, the best thing to do is to wait for a pullback of sorts. A little bit of a consolidation or something to give you a second chance to get in here. Now we are fairly far removed from where the market broke support before. So there may be a counter trend opportunity here. Yeah, or not. Look at them falling out of bed. All right, gang, I hate to trade and run, but I need to trade and run. Like I said, if you're going to hang on here, just look for anything resembling a pullback for an opportunity to get in. Although the way they're going, maybe you should just grab any old signal and hang on. The market very, very bearish here. All right, I'm sorry to duck out on you so early here today. I do have to get going. I got an appointment to get to in the city, as I mentioned earlier. I will see you again tomorrow. We'll talk to you then. Bye for now.